Hello, welcome everyone. It's just my 2 cents again.
How are you? I'm Gigi.
And I'm Danny. We have a special episode for you this week. We're actually going to be talking to various women of color, getting their hair story. We're really excited because we know for African American women, women of color, hair is a major topic. It's something
yes. It's something we talk about all the time. Like, we've even said to ourselves, like, I can't go a day without talking about my hair.
Right.
So we're here to bring it to you live on screen.
Yes. So we actually obviously have a special guest with us here today,
Hey.
Kara Benton Smith, and ironically, we have a funny story on how we met.
Yes.
It was actually New Year's Eve.
Yep.
We were at a JI group party at Vapiano's.
Yes. Restaurant.
She was like walking into the bathroom. Me and Danny were like, oh my God, her hair's so cute.
We were so in love with her hair.
And we like had to stop her. We were like, okay, wait, what did you do? Tell us everything we need to know.
Meanwhile, the secret was I hadn't washed it for 2 weeks. That was the secret.
And that's
That's
usually when your hair, when you get so many compliments about your hair.
Yes.
I definitely can relate to that. So then we ended up talking to her for about 20-25 minutes. Her husband was looking for her.
Minutes.
Her husband came looking for her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm talking to my new friend. I'll see you upstairs." So wow, that was. I'm so glad that we met you too.
Yeah,
Because you were, as I said in the email when I invited you to come on to the show, we just thought you were so amazing and inspiring for us, even as we're going through our journeys, and they're very different than yours. Yes. But most importantly, you have a very, very unique story.
Yes.
So if you don't,
told.
Yes.
Tell us about it. Tell us about yourself.
It's very interesting. I come from a family that's from the Caribbean. So my mom is from St. Thomas Virgin Islands, and my father actually is from the States. He's from the South. So I grew up, in that world, and mostly the Caribbean world and so forth and so on. But my mom took a very strong stance in how she wanted me to be in terms of my hair and my hair care. Most of it, everyone says, oh wow, your mom was so forward thinking, whatever, but the honest truth is, yes, she was very forward thinking, but she was also very practical. And so when I was a little girl, I was very, very sick. I had all these allergies and asthma, and so her whole thing is, listen, you can't be putting chemicals in your body because you already are an asthmatic. You already all these things. We can't have a situation where you become worse because you're putting things that are foreign on yourself or in your body. So ironically, my hair care has always been of the natural state. I've never had a chemical process in my hair at all. So no Jerry curl, no perms, no anything. The only thing I will say is that I got press and curls, as most little girls did, and blow dry, but that was about it. There was no chemicals in my life. So it is very interesting because most of the women that I speak to have had something. They've gone through their phases, the Jerry curl, the perm, the semi-perm, all those sorts of things. And that hasn't been my world. So I really like learning from them, kind of their journey, but also sharing mine too. That, it's possible to survive with natural hair.
It can happen. I know, because when you first said that, we were like, what?
Yeah, both
like, never, ever,
it can happen. It is possible.
Yeah.
It is possible.
So have you always loved your natural hair?
No. No. It, again, as we were mentioning earlier, it's definitely a journey. When I was a little girl, I was very much sheltered from that. So my family, and particularly the women in my life, always told me how beautiful my hair was. They've always told me that, and it's never been like, even with the struggles and the combing out, as a little girl getting popped in the forehead with keep still, all those things, it still wasn't around, oh my God, I never heard the words like, oh, your hair is so rough, oh, I can't manage this, oh, this is so ridiculous. I never had those messages. I always had. I was lucky. I always had positive messages around that, even when it was painful and inconvenient. Even though it was painful and inconvenient, like I feel like I've still had that journey in terms of the combing out, trying to figure out how to manage it, the maintenance. I think my mom struggled with that. Just like a lot of moms do. You don't know how to take care of their hair
and taking care of her own hair at the same time.
Exactly. And
still giving you those positive messages.
Exactly. So definitely, I mean, we still went through that process, but we were able to come out on top still. And what was even more interesting is my mom had natural hair as well, and she would always twist it up similar to what I do and different things, and braid it, and she would braid my hair and that sort of thing. But what was interesting is when my brother was born, she permed her hair.
Wow.
Yes, and it's still perm to this day, and it's quite interesting.
Wow.
Yes, it is, because you can imagine the teenager in me arguing that.
Right.
So going back to, you know, how my experiences were. So when I was younger, it was a very positive experience. When I got into school, that's when the negativity came from other children who, you know, that was not their experience, and everyone had a perm. And so by the time I was in about middle school,
12 to 14.
yeah, it started to become a real issue. Elementary, not so much. I'm aging myself a little bit, but I see little girls now that are like 5 and 6 and already have a perm. I didn't see a lot of that when it was my age. I'm seeing that more younger and younger, but not then. So by the time I kind of ran into those issues of perm, not permed, and what do you got in your head sort of thing, it wasn't until about middle school, and it was hard because middle school is a tough transition anyway as a kid. And trying to grow up and figure yourself out, but the hair care was a sensitive issue. I mean, a lot of people made fun of my hair, and you know, were like, oh, you have nigger naps and this sort of thing. So, and it's funny because I didn't perm my hair at that time. I did have the press and curl situation, but I wasn't perming my hair, and I still got made fun of, even though it looked straight. Everyone knew it wasn't truly straight. It would want to throw water on me, so that I could, and just like crazy stuff around hair, and it baffles me that, you know, children somehow, I guess they witness it at home. I don't know where it comes from, but they're socialized to, you know, be so negative towards their own hair, but others as well, you know, because I'm all about choice. If that's what you choose for yourself and that's what you're comfortable with, then that's fine. You want to perm your hair, cool. You want to get the Jerry curl, fine. But, you know, I think that we, and particularly children, but even as adults, we have to be sensitive and respectful of each other's choices and not be judgmental. Yes, I'm natural, but I'm not hating on you because you have a perm. That's your choice. And vice versa, if I choose to perm my hair, I don't want the energy of, well, who does she think she is? And she thinks she's better than me. And she's got it all together. No, I don't have it all together.
No one does.
No one does. You know, and so we just have to learn how to respect each other. So that was hard growing up in middle school. And then in high school, same thing. I, you know, did the press and curl thing. And, you know, by the time I got to high school, I had my circle of friends, and they respected who I was, so it was a little different, and it wasn't as major. But that middle school transition, ooh, that was horrific. I think that was the bulk of my hair care issues, where I really got made fun of and started to feel really insecure about it. And then I started fighting my mom about it. That was around the time that I was like, I want a perm. And I argued and argued. My mom was like,
you asked,
I begged her. I used to run around with the towel, pretending my hair was long, and doing this nonsense. I did it all of it, right? All of it. I had all those issues, and by right around the time, like when I was about to go to high school, I want to say 13, 14, I was like, I want a perm. I have a younger cousin who, right around the same time, she was younger, so she was about like 9.
And she was going through the same thing?
She was going through the same thing, but the thing was that her hair texture was such that even at that young age, I realized that a perm would not be appropriate for her. She may have a reaction that isn't necessarily, you know, appropriate for that texture of hair, because our hair is very unique. It changes with time. And I've been lucky,
multi-textured at one time.
And I've been lucky to see the process of my own hair and see how I have bits of my hair that are very straight. I have bits of my hair that is very kinky, and that's because of who we are and the mix-up that we are, you know, based on our history. So I got a unique view of seeing that transition, so I could see in her, even at that young age, don't go there, because you don't need to. You want to have a different look, you want ease of transition, you could do it differently. Anyway, make a long story short, she ends up getting her perm.
Your cousin, and
my
you
cousin
didn't get to get
and
one.
I didn't get to get one, and you can imagine those arguments and those resentments and those anger issues and what have you, and you carry that, you know. And she got that perm, and she was 9, and I'll never forget it, and her hair was down her butt, with no exaggeration. I'll never forget, because her hair was already long. I mean, when she was a little bit, she was like my daughter's age. She had like hair your length. I mean, she had a lot of hair, even when she was young. And I'll never forget, she got that perm 9. I would say, I would say by like 6 or 7, 8 months, maybe to a year, you saw the slow dwindle, and it was like, it fell out. And I watched it, and it was so emotional, because I think for her,
that has to
the devastation of that,
9 years old,
the devastation of that, because again, as a child, you're not equipped just yet to make decisions. And so I think to my aunt and her frustrations too, because I don't judge that, because now I'm a mom. So I get the frustrations of, you gotta go, I gotta make work, I gotta do all these things, and I can't get the hair. And she had so much of it. And you know, we as women, we're not always taught how to care for our hair in the natural state. So this is what happens. We perm it because we just can't manage it the way it is. We don't know. We're not learning it. And that hair just fell out bit by bit by bit. And and to this day, it is not the same. It will never be, because even pressing hair changes it, let alone a chemical. It has never been the same, and I believe she has carried that for a long time. A long time.
Unfortunate.
It was terrible.
And
that's
really... Go ahead.
Sorry, I know we keep interrupting each other, but that brings us to the question, like, would you ever let your daughter?
No. I'm gonna be like my mom, not in my house. Because my mom's whole thing was, look, when you turn 18, you do whatever the hell you want to do.
As long as you're out of my house, you can do it.
But not in my house.
Not in here.
Get a perm, you're moving out.
But interesting, but it was a hard struggle because my mom's hair is perm. So I'm looking at her as a 16-year-old, like, listen, 18 is 2 years away. What are you talking about? Your hair is perm. She's like, "Can I perm my hair at 34?" She's like, I'm grown.
Decisions
I'm grown. Like, who do you think you are in the scheme of all of this? So, you know, that was a hard transition, seeing my mom perm, not seeing many people natural, because at that time, it wasn't the thing. It was not the thing. And struggling. I even had extensions at one time, because I remember I went away to visit my family in St. Thomas, and I was like, how am I going to do this with swimming and all this other nonsense? And I had extensions in my hair. My friends laughed at me. They're like, "You had extensions?" I was like, "Yes, I had extensions," because I didn't know how to care for my hair. And I always, my mom had sent me to a hairdresser when I turned like 10. She found this woman that, you know, she paid her like $30. It was really cheap, and she would do my hair for me. And so that, you know, she would press and curl it, and you know, we wear little styles.
That you're in adulthood, how do you manage and maintain your hair? Like, what types of products do you use? How do you cultivate it in a healthy way?
I am blessed that I've run into a lot of people who have helped me along the way with this journey.
I know, we all need people.
In high school, I was still pressing and curling, but by the time I got to college, I had kind of let that go. And part of that is my husband, because when he met me, he was like, I guess I was in the middle of something and it wasn't pressed or whatever, and he saw it in its natural state, and then I pressed it and he was like, "What are you doing?"
I like it better.
He's like, "Why don't you just wear it the other way?" Like, oh, okay. All right. And so, and there it went. And so high five to hubby. He loves my hair. He's always like, he's like amazed. Like, I come from the hairdresser, he's like, "Wow, oh my God, tell her this one looks great. How'd she do it?" Da, 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 da. So I'm blessed in that, because I've attracted someone who respects that too, and celebrates it. So I'm lucky in that respect. But in terms of hair care, so in college is when I really started to learn, because you know, money's tight too, and you can't always go to the hairdresser. So I started to learn slowly, and I've been through millions of different products. And what I will say, I've settled on really two key elements: water, and not even water, and making sure that what you're putting in is going to result in good things coming out. Those are really my basic things. Do I use products? Yes. The shampoo I use is this one, this brand, Shea Moisture. I use the Shea Moisture brands. The shampoo I love. I just tried that last night and I love it. And then I also use, and then I also use the cream that, you know, comes in that little thing to, the smoothie, the smoothie. But basically, so I also make sure I'm putting in good things too. I eat a lot of vegetables. I eat, you know, a lot of good things. I take my multivitamins. You know, I take extra stuff like flaxseed oil. Gotta take the flaxseed oil. It helps with the hair. It helps with the brain. It helps with the heart. Helps with a lot. Exercise, water, just simple things. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't have this money to spend on things." Fine, you can't take the flaxseed oil, cook with olive oil. There's your moisture, whatever, you can make it work. So my hair care is really minimal. I use those things, but you know, I always make sure when I'm combing it out to section it out. It's important to section it out. You don't want to try to comb it out in its full state. Keep it wet. Don't comb it out dry. That's where you're going to see the breakage and that sort of thing. I have this little spritzer bottle that I bought, whatever, for like $1.
Bottles are free.
Yeah, I love the spritzer bottle. And what I put in the spritzer bottle are also essential oils. So like you can go online and research essential oils that are good for the hair. Lavender is a big one. Rosemary is a good one. You can buy those essential oils. They last forever because they're really, really strong. You put a couple drops in there. that's what you spray your hair with, and you comb it out. And I put the little smoothie, and then I just twist it up and sleep with a little wrap, and then I untwist it and I'm ready to go. And I might pin it up, as you saw me that night. I had something in the situation. Yeah, and that's really it. And it's not as difficult as people may think. I think really the difficulty is preparing yourself for the transition. Yourself. You have to be patient. We're in a world of instant gratification. We're also in a world where we're always feeling judged for a numerous amount of things, but also our hair has always been an issue. It's like, oh, you wear it natural, so you must be this sort of person. And therefore, if you're this sort of person, you must be angry and revolutionary and all those other things. And I do consider myself a revolutionary, but not in those negative connotations that we're often associated with, because of the fact that we choose to kind of operate in the natural sense, which to me is really crazy, but whatever. We're very much conditioned to hate what is or should be normal, right? And again, it's not a judgment, because history has put us in this place, and when you've been like this for 400 years, it is very difficult to undo. It's not going to happen in a century. It may take many centuries to undo the centuries of damage. So we have to be realistic about that too, and be patient with each other, with ourselves. It will come together for you, and be confident. And that takes time. You may have relapses where you perm again, come back, whatever. You just have to feel confident in yourself. And I just pray that my daughter seeing me in this state will just
influence her.
Because
that's the number one thing that I tell people when they always ask me, like, oh my God, what do you do to your hair? How did you get there? And it's like, it's gonna take like 6 to 8 months where you're just like, this is ridiculous. And you just have to just stick it out, just keep going. And the other thing that you have to start feeling comfortable with is it's really an inside, for people who are transitioning, it's really from the inside out transition, because the hair is hair. It falls out, it grows back, whatever the story is, but really it's the emotion that you're carrying,
those internal insecurities that you have.
That's what's projecting. It's not about the hair. You have to feel comfortable with you, and you have to be comfortable with people asking you questions, staring at you, all that stuff, wanting to touch it and touching it, and still feeling without asking, without mind to touch, but can you just, but you have to feel comfortable with that and understanding that people are curious, and it's not so much that they're judging you, but rather they just don't know either, and they're so shocked by it all. And part of me also thinks, and this might be arrogant, but I also think that people are envious of it. Because a lot of people
you have the confidence.
You have the confidence to do
Embrace
it. Embrace it. And people look at that and are like, oh my God, how's she doing this? Not so much because they're judging you, but rather they're like, how is it that she got to the point where she feels confident enough to do it?
And that's a part of the reason why we're doing this hair story series, because whether your hair is permed or natural or somewhere in between, I really feel like it's a matter of building your self-confidence and feeling good in your skin, and what you exude from internally, people are gonna feel on the from the outside. And I can't even thank you enough for sharing your story.
Wait, before we go, I have to ask you, who's your celebrity hair crush?
I have a new celebrity hair crush. Not so new, kind of old, but I don't keep up with the celebrities, so I'm so late. But Solange.
Oh my God, that's hers.
And this is why. Because Solange took the plunge in an industry that is not nice.
Well, I'm just loving her all around. Like
in an industry that is not nice, in an industry that welcomes certain sisters in. I think about Jill Scott. She started this way. She's ended. She's gone on another journey. She's gone on another journey. And
she goes back and forth.
She goes back and forth, and I respect that struggle. I get it. But Solange is my new one. She's my new one. She really went there. She did.
She does. She is so beautiful. That's
well, thank you so much for coming and talking to us today.
I appreciate it.
We really enjoyed your conversation. Just hearing your hair story is just so phenomenal. Like we said when we first met you, we were like spent 45 minutes like, wait, what is it?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of similarities, but again, your story is very unique and inspiring for me. I mean, I have a completely different story, but just hearing about your journey and, you know, how you handle things with your daughter and your mom who now has a perm.
Oh, yes. I'm trying to get her to transition in her retired age. We'll see. Because she loves my hair. It's never been an issue. She's just like, you look great. I'm like, you too can join me.
Right.
She's like, oh, I just can't. I'm like, all right, we'll try again next year.
Yeah, right. Keep trying.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Kara, and thank you guys for joining us. I hope that you found this story to be just as inspiring as we did. And we do have more for you in this series, so stay tuned. Give us your feedback. Feel free to email us if you have questions for Kara, if you have questions for us, or if you just have 2 cents that you want to share with everybody. But this has been Kara's 2 cents on her natural hair story. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great week.
Bye.